Do not waste your time with patents and trademarks.
Yeah.
It is an absolute crock of shit. We've been working on this for over a year. It takes a long time.
It's weird that there's so many filmmakers and photographers and creators that want to try and attack and dismantle a creator-led brand.
Yeah.
But then when a big corporation does something, it's like crickets.
Welcome back to the No Late Fees podcast. My name is Tom. This is Jake. And yeah, we're here in the Prism Effects video store. And today we want to do this episode where we focus on and talk about essentially bringing an idea, something that you have in your head, to a product. Like what it takes to realize a product. And what better way to do that than demo actually a couple things that are under development at the date of this recording. These are not out, but hopefully will be soon.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe we can even start with what's in your hand,
Yeah, I think we often, or at least I don't know about you, but I get DMs often about just like asking like, what does it take and what does it cost to develop a product? How do you develop a product? What are the just costs associated with that? How do you guys handle just different facets around that? And so, yeah, we have like several different products that we have coming out soon at Prism Lens Effects. One is this filter case right here, which is a kind of multi-utility purpose like filter pouch case sling that holds a variety of effects filters. So that is one thing. Two, Tom, if you want to grab what's below you down there, we've got
I'll start with this. This one's fun.
Yeah, go ahead. You can riff on that one.
So this is a reloadable film camera, not to be confused with a disposable film camera. And essentially it's a film kind of much like a reloadable, where it kind of has a kind of cheaper little, like, you can kind of bring it with you, throw it in a bag, backpack, and you can, instead of wasting and throwing out the plastic, you can actually reload this with film multiple times. And that's not new in the space. What is actually this magnet mount that essentially allows you to use our filters magnetically clipped to the front. So yeah, I mean, this is something we're excited about. We're ideally trying to come out with this summer, 2025.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we're obviously demoing them right now, but we will talk about like what it takes to like take this from idea, sketch to a physical thing you're holding in your hands,
Yeah, and then I think lastly, what I have here is a handheld filter. We're known for our handheld effects filters, and probably predominantly one that has exploded onto the scene, I guess, in the last year is our handheld ghost effects filter. And so this is a look at what is like kind of takes the ghost effects refraction and is a spin on it. It's a full circle handheld filter. This is a 100 millimeter size. We would have 150 mil as well. But it basically takes the bottom half of the refraction of the ghost effects and kind of, mirrors it essentially. So you have that mirrored, flipped, and pushed together. And we have a variety of like new handhelds like this in the works. This is the only one we're going to show you today. But those are, three new products that are currently in development that are essentially all prototypes currently. None of them are final production models. So yeah, I thought it'd be a fun episode to talk about what it takes to get a product from just an idea in your head to a physical thing that you're holding in your hands to then selling and shipping around the world. So
yeah, I think the first thing that I think if I would like to add to that is, whatever you can do to reduce the design iteration is like paramount. Like it's literally huge. Like if you, I guess, to wind the clocks back, if you work with a manufacturer, we've been working on this for over a year. It takes a long time because there's molds that need to be made. You get a prototype. It's like, okay, can this be a little bit bigger? So there's different things to get this thing from an idea to a sketch to a CAD design to the first prototype to a second prototype. So I guess the first thing I'll start with is ideally like you're kind of I guess for us, like a lot of times we're starting with like a sketch.
Yeah,
I think that just works. That's just the way our brains work, And
I'll see if we don't have it on us here, but maybe when I get back to the office back in Arizona, in the warehouse, I can take a few pictures of like
that'd be cool.
Some of our sketches, and we can have Nick throw it up in the edit just so you guys can see what we're talking about. But yeah, usually, I mean, essentially it'll start with me and you bantering back and forth of like, yo, what do you think of this idea?
Yeah.
What if, like, for example, it's like, what if we had a filter pouch that accordioned out similarly to the one we have now, but you could like wear it, and there's like attachments where you could like add Velcro, because I don't know if you guys are aware of like this company Cord Bag. They make like these bags to like organize your camera gear, and they have fun patches that you can like label the bag with. And so kind of started with that conversation with you, Tom, and then it turns into like talking with them and drawing something up and talking with them, and then they send us a drawing back and make a prototype. But I guess as easy as possible when you're talking about this handheld filter, like that's like the easiest way, since we're known for our filters, is like a filter idea that we had was like came off of the heels of a DP reaching out and being like, hey, I wish you guys had a more bigger, like almost like full circular filter. So that got the wheels turning, and we're like, well, what if we took kind of our Ghost Effects, refraction, and turned that into a filter that was like a bigger, full 100 mil, 150 mil circle that would cover like the breadth of a full, like huge, like cinema lens. And from us just talking about that, then drop a little sketch, which again, we'll probably throw up on screen here. We take that sketch, then we reach out to our manufacturer and like, hey, here's essentially what we want. The product is, this is how we want it to look. Here are some of the maybe dimensions or features of that product, etc. Then we get a CAD drawing made up. From there, once all like, thumbs up, green light, go, we get a prototype made by our manufacturer. Our manufacturer will give us that prototype. And then from there, we get a hold the prototype in hand, use it, test it, look at it, feel it, and make notes and adjustments from there. So me and Tom might, FaceTime, or if we're in person, look at it and talk about like, oh, this needs to be bigger, or oh, this is too strong. We need the strength of the refraction and diffusion to be, half the strength that it is now. And like, we'll make those notes. Tom usually will formulate, a document, a PDF that outlines all the little details, send that, and we'll get another round of revisions. And usually it's just kind of like that back and forth revision, notes, new prototype until we finally feel like this is it. And then we go into full production mode.
And to just give you a glimpse into that like world, like there's a few things you'll have to be mindful of. There's a term called like an MOQ, which is the minimum order quantity. And to give some like thought process behind that, because you're like, oh, well, why would there be a minimum order quantity? It looks like they're able to produce one unit. That manufacturer is probably taking a loss on producing one unit, because like they're losing time to like, set the molds, run the machines, hire the staff to like run just one unit through. That's not profitable. So like for them, it's like, hey, look, for us to get all this set up, because they could probably have to, set the laser engraver to our logo, set the dimensions. Like for them, it's like, hey, we're going to run like 500 units through this. Or like for our pouches, we have to order like thousands at a time. So that's something to consider, is like when you're starting a product, like, there's probably gonna be mold costs. Each one of these molds is like, can be.
Well, I think a perfect example is like, with each of these, a new design, there's a mold fee and a cost associated with. When you're making something brand new, any manufacturer, no matter where they're based, you're gonna have a mold fee. So like with our film camera, there was a hefty mold fee associated with trying to design this, mag mount lens built in this camera with our, filter. Like there's a fee associated with that. Same thing with this individual filter. Like each new design or product that we're coming up with, there's a mold fee. And then to Tom's point, like when you do actually finally get it settled and you have those costs, you've already paid for the mold fees, you've paid for the various prototypes, the shipping back and forth. Once you're like, oh, this is it, manufacturers have what you said, an MOQ, right? MOQ, minimum order quantity. We have, fortunately, having worked with our manufacturer for so long now, can have low MOQs.
And what they can do is essentially like, hey, like we're committing to 500 units. So you're going to get 500 units worth of money from us, but it's over the course of like smaller batches. So they might mail 100 and we'll pay for that 100, but we're committed to 500. You know what I mean? So that is, for the manufacturer, they're knowing they're getting like this full breadth, but we're not having to pay from like a cash flow perspective for 500 units, because there's this like term that you'll learn as you get more into like a business or having inventory. It's called like being in the black. You would think it'd be called being in the green, but black is like positive, right? So say you order 500 units, or let's just call it 1,000 units of that handheld Ghost. And that cost us, let's just say, for this example, say that cost us 25 grand to buy those 1,000 units. Well, we have to sell through probably 30, 40, 50% of that inventory before you're even in the black. And that's why, like, just to be like very blunt and honest, why the space shuttle, as great of a product it is, the margins are quite hard for us. I mean,
Yeah.
full transparency, it's like $400 to just buy. That's our cost.
Right.
And an MOQ of 100, that's 40
grand.
Yeah, that's so much money. And we're not even in the positive or in the black until the last like 5 or
20%.
Yeah, so it's like you're in the negative for so long, and that's just one SKU and one variant. You know, like a t-shirt has large, extra large, medium, small, blue, white, black. For us, we have 82, 77, 67. So you're having an MOQ every single size. And this is where you
Of
can actually
every different filter and variant.
We've sometimes over ordered, like, oh, let's get all these sizes. And like Anna, who's our, warehouse manager, like, guys, like maybe we just start with these. Cause like she knows running the numbers,
Yeah.
like, yo, like y'all are like, cause then sometimes those units, like some of the 95 millimeters
Kinda
sit on the
sit on the
shelves
shelf.
for months. So like, you're just, it's like your shelves are like a bank. Unless you can sell those things off the shelf, it's like a deposit you can't
Yeah.
touch. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, so I think when you're first starting out and you're trying to launch a product, if you haven't built a rapport or relationship with, a manufacturer, like you're going to get hit with those MOQs that you can't really do much on. Like if their MOQ is 500 units, like you're going to have to pay for those 500 units up front. Like Tom was saying, fortunately for us, we've built this long-standing relationship with our manufacturer over the last 7 years to where we can, not that we dictate what happens, but we're able to work those deals where it's like, hey, like we just need 100 of these, or we need you to rush order, send 25 of these. We're able to like kind of pick and pull and negotiate those numbers with them because of that long-standing relationship. So if you are someone looking to like launch your first product and develop something, just know like most MOQs for manufacturers are going to be 500 plus units, and so you're going to have that cash up front, put it on a credit card. It's not something where you can just like, oh yeah, I just want like 50 of these to test the waters. So that's where like pre-orders
or if
really
you do, the unit cost goes up exponentially. So say your unit cost for, you're selling a blue t-shirt, you're a graphic designer, is maybe $6, but if you order 500, but if you only want like 50, now this is like $18. So your unit cost will go drastically up if you do.
And that's something you can negotiate too. If you want to order a lot more and commit to a lot more up front, you can get those unit costs down. So it's like, it's always a game of like, kind of trying to find those numbers. And fortunately for us, like we did that early on. We were the ones having to negotiate. Well, you were. But like now we have like a team and a business manager who handles all that for us so that we could focus on like what we're good at, which is coming up with good product ideas, the marketing, creating content, which is what ultimately like we're passionate about anyways, is like that aspect of the business and that's what we should be focused on as like, the business and brand owners, is the creative aspect of the products and how we market it versus like worrying about like negotiating the numbers and MOQs and ordering.
Here's another thing
and
you should absolutely, maybe unpopular opinion, hot take, but do not waste your time with patents and trademarks. It is an absolute crock of shit.
For us, at least.
For us.
That's our
because
experience.
We spent probably like $3,000 to $5,000 in lawyer fees and patent fees, design mold fees. Even if everything goes great, you spent the $3,000 to $5,000, you've got a patent, you're still going to get ripped off. China doesn't care. They're ruthless. Like they will literally open up a shell corp. They'll literally, there's no way to hunt them down. And the analogy I constantly give myself, I'm in line at Home Depot, probably getting something from one of these studios, and there's a $19 knockoff AirPod literally in the line, the little like kind of get me's next to the Twizzlers, Red Bull. There's literally a little like, oh, and it's the same exact white case. It literally is just an off-brand AirPod Pro. And I'm like, wow, like the biggest $1 trillion, market cap company is dealing with a dupe. What makes us so unique and special that we're not going to circumvent a dupe? And I guarantee you they have so many patents. So I for me and Jake, and I think we can both agree, like we can spend time and money and resources and mental bandwidth fighting and litigating like whack-a-mole, like hitting this one and another one pops up, or you just put all that energy in just making really cool stuff and always have the dupes trying to dupe you.
Always trying to keep up. I mean, where that really comes into play is early on when we did make the world's first mountable triangle prism and orb. We filed a patent. We were patent pending, had all the paperwork, paid those fees. And within, I don't know, a couple months' time, there were knockoffs being made in China and sold to people in the US. And how we found out about it is someone was like reached out to us to like sell us the product, and we're like, wait, how do you have that product to sell to like, what do you this is our like we have a patent on this, patent pending, like what are you doing? And like that's where we discovered like all of a sudden there was knockoffs being made of it, and regardless if we had a patent or not, that's not gonna, the US patent is only gonna protect you in the US. Like other companies overseas are just gonna rip you off and knock you off. And so like we spent a lot of like early on as a company, which we didn't have a lot of huge upfront capital when we started this thing, so to like drop $5,000 and not really have it do anything, and there were still people like knocking it off and selling it anyways, and then just the amount of mental bandwidth and time we spent trying to like prove that and argue with them and be like, hey, if you don't stop ceasing to sell this, we're going to get our lawyers involved. Like it was just like it was a whole lot to deal with, and it's like, no, let's just be the first ones to market it, and keep innovating and stop focusing on trying to chase down. What's that analogy you always like to use? Is it like, was it Thomas Edison or
I mean, because he would essentially to curb like Tesla and all these competitors, he would just sue everybody. But then like they would just work around his patents and innovate, and actually it led to a lot of innovation. And Thomas Edison, like I'm probably butchering it, but like stopped innovating and just sued everybody to like stop his competition. This is before like antitrust laws and stuff. But it's just like you could be that, or you could just keep innovating. You know what I mean? So
And so I think for us personally, like we just try and keep thinking of products that we would want to see, and we don't worry too much. There's going to be someone hawking this video going like, oh sick, I can just copy their products now. But but I think, and I have to give you credit, like what's really helped us is having like a strong presence online. Like we've even had people like, yo, isn't this your guys' thing? And then like we'll be like, you know what I mean? Like it allows if you come up with a product, be loud, like go on top of the cliff, tell people, bang your chest, this is my product. Because then if someone dupes you, they're like, no, I remember someone else was talking about this. Like, but if you're just like kind of like you make this thing and then just disappear, no one will really know you're like behind it. So like for all you know, you are one of the dupes. You know what I mean? I will say early on it did bother me, like when I saw a lot of these like duplicated products. But you have to remember, if someone feels like you have a good idea, I mean, obviously he's giving you validity to your product idea. Right.
If there is a need, I mean, dude, I see so many dupes on like AliExpress and all this shit.
Well, dude,
and it's like,
so we launched the Dream Effects filter, which again, we didn't invent diffusion filters, but we made our own diffusion filter. Dream Effects coined that term, trademarked that term. And to this day, like there are so many companies and dupes that try and use the Dream Effects name in the SEO and the description. On Amazon, it'll be like soft diffusion Dream Effects filter, like, and it's like that name is trademarked by us. Like
still nothing. They can still type those words in.
And then we'll type in Prism Lens. Don't throw in the FX. Prism Lens Dream Filter. Like we'll use our name, our brand to try and like trick the consumer, or at least like steal SEO to like make people go towards their thing, which is crazy. If we were to do that, it would be the end of us. Like, but these other companies do it, and no one
they get a hall
cares.
Pass. What sucks too is some people buy those dupes or the ones with all the really misleading naming, and they're like, they DM us like, yo, like I'm just not getting the results you guys were marketing, or like, yo, like which one did you buy? And they just take a picture and we're like, oh, that's not our filter, and they're like, oh, like it said Dream Lens on Amazon. And you're like, that's just misleading marketing. You know what I mean? So.
Well, I know we dealt with that a little bit with like K&F and B&H and B&H specifically, I think. Is that the one out in New York?
They were basically using like Google like keywords to like it was kind of I didn't think it was ethical. Like if you were to type in Prism Lens Effects Dream Effects, their ad, I don't really know like ad.
The ad would say Dream Effects sold here, and we didn't sell. We didn't sell through B&H, and then you would click it and it would go to their website, and it would be like for like a Tiffin filter, but they were using our name, Prism Lens, and Prism Lens Effects sold here, saying sold here.
I mean, I want to give them like maybe like their media buyer thought it was a good idea, but regardless, like you kind of have to own the decisions your team is making, and they clearly hired a Google person, and like. I mean, they made the situation right.
Imagine if we did something like that and put like, had SEO running ads and said like Tiffin Black Pro Mist sold here, and you click it and it goes to Prism Lens Effects website. Like how unethical is that, and how much would we be roasted over the coals? But like no one had an outcry. It's weird that there's so many filmmakers and photographers and creators that want to try and attack and dismantle a creator-led brand, but then when a big corporation does something, it's like crickets. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but
Yeah, that is actually a really good point, because you would think in the creator community we'd want to be
support.
uplifting a brand that actually was like founded by creators and are creators ourselves, versus like this sort of like big corporate. I mean, they're a massive company.
Yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
So I don't know, but yeah, I guess to
Interesting.
get
I know
like
we kind of got a
no,
little
for
off
sure. I mean,
topic,
this is
but
just the, kind of the trials and tribulations of owning a product. You know what I mean?
yeah.
These are literally the things
Things
we've dealt with,
deal
like
with.
starting a company and the kind of money we wasted,
So I'll let you get back to that thought, but real quick, we do have to thank today's sponsor. Have you heard of Prism Lens Effects?
Yeah. So the last time I used Prism Lens Effects, unless they've kind of changed their whole thing, it's like, the whole thing, like keep it in camera,
Yeah.
effects filters.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, can you tell me a little bit more about it though? Just give me a refresher.
Yeah, I mean, they're a company that was founded in 2018 by two filmmakers who were looking for unique ways to create in-camera effects. And
That's crazy.
they started with like these mountable triangle prisms, which evolved into just a larger company and brand that services just many, different filters, from handheld filters to filters that thread onto your lenses, to even now like practical, like, filter cases and just
See, I
different
love
other,
that.
very, very cool company that services just the film and photo community with fun products to just like author their images in camera. So,
Yeah, and our sponsor graciously gave us a 15% off code
Yeah.
to you listening and watching.
Yep.
Just use NLF for no late fees, NLF15 for 15% off your order. Thank you, Prism Lens Effects, for sponsoring the pod. Let's jump back into the convo.
Let's do it. I don't know if you remember this. There was a time where you ordered like 1,000, like almost 1,500 kaleidoscopes.
It was
and
like
we had
2,000.
with 2,000 kaleidoscope filters, and it took us like, I don't know, almost 2 years to sell
Dude,
through all that. And
At a certain point, I think we were like doing like half off just to get rid of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, but that was an accident. But yeah, part of the trials and tribulations of, working through how to like handle all that. And
Here's one. We get this product called the Color Cube, and it was like this, basically, like, imagine a triangle prism that we offer, but instead of a
Cube.
triangle, it's literally each cube has like this diachroic glass, so it's like red, orange, green, blue, and they put a thread on the bottom where you can kind of dodge it in front of your lens. And we're literally testing it out, and he's just going so crazy, spinning it around, and it literally, the one prototype that we waited months to get, just flings off the handle, hits the ground, and shatters. And we're like, dude, like,
my that was my bad. I felt really bad. That was tough.
yeah.
Yeah. So then, I
R.I.P.
don't
the
remember-
Color Cube.
Yeah, which some people want us to bring back. I don't think we will. But
What's one product we made, no longer selling? You're like, you know what? I wish we could still have made that one. I like the cracked glass one.
dude, if we can figure out how to mass produce the cracked glass one in a way that doesn't feel like DIY art
Yeah.
project, that would be
That's the thing, when
really
you're
cool.
spending like, money on a filter or a product, like imagine you got the iPhone and you're like, yo, like, is that glue? Like, you'd be
Yeah.
like, what? And I mean, mind you, the early ages, we were like, very much like hand gluing before
Yeah.
we found an actual like reputable manufacturer. But like, yeah, when you hold it up, you're like, dude, that's like glue residue. So
Yeah.
if we can do that at scale, like, that would be sick, dude.
Yeah, I remember that was one of the most fun. Honestly, it is so fun and fulfilling to have an idea, create a product or prototype, like create the content around it to market it, and then see people like buy it. I remember taking that trip to Hawaii with the 3 prototypes of the effects filters.
Remember on the Leaf, we had the
Split-
product shots.
Split glass, the
Prism.
crystal effects, which we called the Prism filter, and then the chromatic flare.
Yeah.
All 3 of those, we went to Hawaii, had a big trip, shot a bunch of content with, and like while we were there, like had no idea what we were really getting ourselves into, and then like
Dude, we launched a
that-
pre-order at that trip
we
too.
launched a pre-order on that trip, and it just started to move and
What was
sell.
crazy though, like when we launched that pre-order, every one of those was handmade,
Handmade.
hand glued. And I know you were like, bro, like Birdman behind the tree, like, yo, we got 100 orders. I'm like, dude, I gotta build 100 of these things.
It was rough. Dan, even back there behind the camera right now, he was there early days. We called him our Prism boy.
So if one of your
Just-
cracked glass, prism, or chromatic rods came out, it's because of this guy over here.
yeah, and this guy. And I was in there grinding metal down. What was it? We had the little knob that would go in the triangle.
So
and we had to,
basically,
grind
like,
that
without
down.
getting too in the weeds, we, the glass that we drilled,
hand
like
press.
had a little like hole that we had where a metal, brass, aluminum thing would go in there and glue and harden, but like the glue can't glue to a polished, clean surface because there's oils on it from the factory. So grinding it down like exposed and created enough ripples and stuff for the glue to like bite onto.
Yeah.
And it sucks so much.
Funny enough, one last thing before we kind of maybe wrap this up here, unless we want to keep going. But I remember when we made the first original prototypes, and you made the original mountable triangle and orb, and we went up to northern Arizona. We were shooting our short films, but you had just finished the prototypes, and like while we were up there, it's like, oh, dude, let's shoot some content and test these out. And we were just like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. And we got so excited.
I know.
And with that like footage and those photos, immediately launched a pre-order. And we had like overnight basically like had all of a sudden 300 orders in our system. And you didn't tell me this till years later.
Yeah.
You were like, you still didn't like fully.
Well, those were prototypes.
They were prototypes.
And while we were up there, the glue actually came undone. I was like, oh, I'm still kind of working on it. And you're like, make it live.
Like, run it. And so then we had to like scramble and kind of put it together. We figured it out though.
But sometimes like when your back's against the wall, it kind of forces you to figure out. I won't name the store or the person's name just out of respect because everyone does different things. We ran into this guy at like a film store around here, and he, this is years ago. He was like, "Oh, you guys are making a product? Like, so am I. Like, I'm making like a product as well for the film industry." And we're like, "Oh, can you share?" He's like, "Oh, no, man, I'm gonna keep it under wraps." We're like, "Oh, okay." Literally bumped into him year after year. We're like, "Yeah, man, like, how's the product?" He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm like still like, working on the patents and this and that, dude." Never saw that product.
Yeah, never.
So like sometimes you need that little pressure, like to like the little monkey on your back, being like, get this shit done.
We always talk about it, like jump off the cliff and like learn to fly on the way down, like build a parachute. It's like, dude, sometimes you just have to jump and just figure out how you're gonna make it because you're
either gonna crash and burn or you're gonna literally deploy and be like, yo, let's go.
Yeah, and float away. Because I mean, you're just you kind of just have to throw yourself out there. And like you said, you either crash and burn or you fly away.
Maybe speed round for someone who's like basically like no pads out. They're like, yo, I want to launch my first product. This is super helpful. Let's like go through maybe just a couple things for them to consider. Obviously like finding factories you could call around. I know like there are certain factories that just be mindful. Like they have like a 40,000 unit MOQ. So just like, definitely like
MOQ is something to be mindful of,
and get samples from multiple factories. Cause I remember like our pouches like have gone through multiple different factories, and like I've noticed different quality between all of them. So like all to say, like if you're going to like commit to something, like I would definitely try to get samples from a few different factories and materials, like definitely try to swatch out what you're, doing in a couple different ways. And ideally like try to launch with one product that maybe isn't like 10 different SKUs, it's 10 different sizes, 10 different colors, like one thing. Like maybe that's, if you're a filmmaker, like an accessory that isn't dependent upon lens size, that's the tricky thing about ours is every idea needs like 6 or 7 iterations, so maybe like keeping it a little bit more contained.
Well, even like with this product right here, this essentially holds anything from a small like 49 millimeter filter to a 4x5 or 100 millimeter handheld. But beyond that, it can't hold like our 150 millimeter size. So we're going to have a second version that's bigger than this to hold like the bigger handhelds. And then there was a part of me that's like, oh, should we make a mini version for like the smaller filters? But it's like if the MOQ for each size is 500, like now you're looking at 1,500 that you have to order versus 1,000. So it's like just something to be aware of. Is like, try and think of or launch a product, especially if it's your first one to start out with, that has very little variance to it. Maybe it's like one product, maybe there's 2 colors, but like you don't need to come out the gate, or I would say you don't want to come out the gate with your first product having something that needs like all these different variants and sizes and colors and whatnot. Start small, grow from there, reinvest your profits back into ordering more inventory, developing new products. We're constantly just reinvesting our profits back into growing the business, ordering more inventory, building out this store. Like if we're not taking out like business loans and like pocketing all of this money and putting it in our pockets. Like it's constantly going into reinvesting back into the business to create new products, new molds, and just and grow. Like even to this podcast, like we just bought all this gear, like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And because this is a reinvestment back into our business and what we do. And so I think that's something to really think about too, is like the money that you're making from these products, look at the long-term play. Don't look at like, oh, I just want to make some money right now. Like sell a product. Like, dude, try and create a product or a brand that can last for 20 years, 15 years, not something that's going to last for 2 years. And then you have to figure out, okay, what's next? Because
and not only when you do that little short-term bag, but when you just do like a short-term like squeeze, like kind of rip off your audience, you know, you're kind of your equity into your ability to sell in the future is damaged when you're like just looking for that quick buck.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And you know, that's probably a side tangent because I know there's people in like the digital asset space. I'll probably just not even go into names, but who have done that. They literally like sell our products or like have changed the name of our LUTs and sell them. And it's just like their reputation is garbage. They have no equity in the creator space. So if you're going to make something, don't like make it to where like, oh, I always go back to this. Like, would I buy this? You know what I mean? Like as we're designing merch, right? It's like, would I wear that? You know, like I'm not going to just make something for like the quick buck, the quick drop. It's like, would we put this in our camera bag? Like, would I pull out my credit card and buy this? You know what I mean? Like really go through that.
And that's how Prism started, was just like when we made the triangle Prism. It's like what we were wanting to experiment with objects in front of the camera and create in camera effects. And it's like, okay, we want this and let's build something we want. And we did. And then from there, every step of the way, even to this filter pouch, to the other ones, it's like, what would we want to see out of this? Would we use this? Would we put it in our camera bag? And if the answer is yes, then you make it. Same thing even applies to the film studios. When we're thinking of the sets that we want to build here at the barracks, it's like we came up shooting all of those music videos. What sets did we want to shoot on? Trap apartment, jail cell, like all of those things, like the concert venue, like
I know,
to the vintage house and stuff. All those sets were like things that we ourselves
put in treatments like, dude, we gotta find this location.
So we're building the things that we would want to use in our own projects. And I think in turn, like those studios and those sets are very successful, because if we would want to use them or did want to use them coming up, other people will as well. And so I think it's important to think of longevity. Like in everything that we do, I think we're thinking longevity wise, big picture. Can this last and sustain for years and years? Could we grow this brand and name and build a brand around this to maybe one day exit and sell for tens of millions of dollars? But I also think the through line is that we genuinely love what we do and we're passionate about what we do. We're not just in it to like, oh, just make a product, sell it, make a quick buck. Like, you know what I mean?
No,
like all
100%.
of it comes from a place of, you know, what we really love and enjoy doing. And I think that's also why like we continue to be successful with it. And I will admit, there's been, I feel like maybe a moment or two along the way where we thought of like, oh, this would be a good idea where we could like make money. And it's like that thing, like a separate business, a separate idea, venture business. And that thing failed. Aerial stock, for example, that was like a business we tried to start years ago. We're not drone pilots. We're not like, we don't know how to, operate drones. And we wanted to start like a aerial stock drone company.
Dude, the name though,
it's a fire name.
Real, like REEL stock, but then aerial.
Yeah. I mean, it was a great idea, but like at the core, we weren't drone pilots and
dude, we almost bought one of those like 20K heavy lift drone or the DJI Inspire. I was like, we almost literally bought that. I'm like, thank God we didn't.
But to that point, like we saw a gap in the market. We're like, oh, we can make some money here selling aerial stock footage. And that thing faltered because one, we were busy with everything else we were pursuing, but we truly weren't like passionate about that thing. When you're not passionate about something, it's hard to wake up every day and pursue that thing, and it will show. And ultimately it won't be fun. And you want whatever you're working on to be fun, because that's what's going to help you be successful in the long run. And I think so that's something to really, take to heart with whatever it is that you want to pursue. Get into it for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think speed round, just to kind of like close and land this plane. People in this day and age want to support people and not brands. So as you build a product, try to think about building a brand, try to like build, like don't be faceless companies,
right?
People want to root for other people. So if you can really, in your messaging and your kind of the way you sell the product, like be a part of that imaging, that helps. Because someone like who maybe has the ability to buy your product are probably going to go through you versus like a faceless dupe. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then lastly, I think what really kind of was where we saw a huge bell curve or whatever a huge inflection point was changing over to Shopify.
Yeah.
We were on Squarespace just because that's what we built like our director and
Right,
DP websites on, and they have some e-commerce features. Maybe it's gotten better, but Shopify is like the best.
Yeah. So if you're gonna start any sort of brand and try and
Watch some
sell
free
a product,
tutorials. I think it's like
Shopify.
$29 a month, but I mean, it is like so robust. I
Yeah.
mean, anyway, so yeah, there are probably more episodes that we can dive into like e-commerce and stuff. This is just one of those like many little things that we
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. And yeah, man, it's fun. It's super rewarding to like have an idea and then really be like holding it,
And then see other people use it and be excited about it.
Dude,
Like be
cool.
out in the world on set and you see our filter or someone with our bag or whatever it is. It's just like, it's kind of a crazy
like
feeling.
we're going to Cine Gear, I think tomorrow it is.
Yeah.
And then we go to NAB every year, and it's like just to walk around, someone's like pulls out of their bag, like, yo, and it's just like, wow, that's so cool. You know what I mean?
No,
So,
for sure.
anyways, appreciate you guys listening and watching to the No Late Fees podcast. We're having a lot of fun making these, and we hope you guys are enjoying it. You can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube.
Yeah.
You already know.
If you're watching on YouTube and you have any comments or questions to things maybe we touched on that wasn't quite clear, or like, you just have an additional question, throw it in the comment section below. We'll be happy to try and help and answer in any way possible. That's what we want this podcast to be, is like a resource for filmmakers, entrepreneurs, people running their own business. Like, we don't want this to be a thing where we just, for shits and giggles, just, talk and flex or do whatever. Like this is here to like help and inspire. And so we'll be in the comment section if you guys have any questions, and make sure to subscribe. You don't miss a future episode.
And if you have like a new product or something you're launching, like, drop in the comments. It'd be really cool to like see what products you listening and watching are making as well. So anyways, until next time, peace.